Help, help, please don't do this. I beg you, I'm a virgin, she cried out. But he didn't stop, but continued going faster and deeper. The year was 1875, when the American frontier still held promises and perils in equal measure. In a small valley surrounded by rolling hills, there lived a couple, Mr. Thomas Henderson and Mrs. Margaret Henderson, blessed with a daughter whose beauty was matched only by her fierce independence. Victoria Henderson, at 24, was the pride of her parents' heart, a spirited young woman with flowing auburn hair and eyes that sparkled with determination. The sun was setting over their modest ranch when Thomas returned from a long day's work, his boots heavy with dust and his shoulders weighed down by the burdens of frontier life. "Dad, how was work?" Victoria asked, looking up from the book she was reading on the front porch. Thomas removed his hat and wiped his brow. "Honey, stressful as usual. Where is your mama?" he asked, glancing around. "Well, she's in the kitchen, preparing something special for us." Thomas's tired face brightened. "Thank goodness, I'm starving." He opened the door and headed inside, while Victoria called after him, "Dad, I'm going out. I want to meet a friend." "Okay, but don't stay too long," Thomas called back. "Okay, Daddy," Victoria replied, already reaching for her shawl. In the warm kitchen that smelled of fresh bread and herbs, Thomas approached his wife from behind, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Honey, what are you cooking for us?" Margaret leaned back against her husband's chest, smiling. "Well, let's say your favorite bread and hot stew." Thomas's eyes twinkled mischievously. "How do you know what I actually like the most?" "Your lips," he whispered, planting a tender kiss on her mouth. "Stop distracting me." Margaret laughed, turning back to the bread she was baking, though her cheeks flushed with pleasure. "Where's Victoria?" She said she wanted to meet a friend. Should we be worried?" Margaret asked, though her tone was light. "Well, she's not a child anymore. She's a strong girl." "Oh yes. That's how she punched that man who tried to touch her inappropriately." Margaret burst into laughter at the memory. "Yes, I remember that day. It wasn't funny at all. She nearly killed him." Thomas joined in her laughter, pride evident in his voice. Meanwhile, Victoria arrived at a modest house on the outskirts of town. She knocked firmly on the wooden door. Bang, bang, bang. The door swung open to reveal her dearest friend, Charlotte Williams. "Victoria!" Charlotte screamed in joy. "Charlotte!" Victoria screamed back with equal enthusiasm. They embraced like sisters reunited after years apart. "Come inside," Charlotte said, pulling her friend by the hand. "Sit down and make yourself comfortable while I go get some juice. I'll be right back." "This is my house, too," Victoria said with a laugh. "I'm coming. Don't go anywhere," Charlotte called from the kitchen. Victoria's gaze wandered around the familiar room until it settled on a framed wedding photograph on the mantelpiece. "Well, that's my mama and papa," Charlotte said, returning with 2 glasses of apple juice. "Really? They're so beautiful together," Victoria observed. Charlotte's smile faded slightly. "Well, my mama died when I was 6. It's been just my papa taking care of me ever since." "I'm so sorry, but you haven't told me this before. And why are you home alone? Where are your maid and papa?" "Oh, about the maid. Papa fired her because she tried to poison me. You know why?" "Obviously. She had a crush on papa, and because I didn't like her, she tried to kill me. Luckily for me, papa caught her and fired her immediately." "Jesus, that's serious," Victoria exclaimed, nearly dropping her glass. "Yes, that's how papa fired her. Well, he's been looking for a good mother for me and someone who can take care of me," Charlotte explained. "So, you're alone at home. Only God knows what could happen." Charlotte laughed heartily. "Ha ha, you haven't changed. Still worrying about everything." "Well, Papa went to a neighboring community to buy land to build a new ranch," Charlotte continued. "Wow, that's wonderful news. Your papa really loves you," Victoria said warmly. "So, how have you been?" "It's been so long," Charlotte asked. Well, I'm fine as you can see, except for one thing. My beauty hasn't faded, Victoria said with a playful chuckle. Victoria, you can never change. Charlotte shook her head in amusement. So, how is that gentleman who said he fancies you? Victoria's expression darkened. Well, I turned him down. I don't like him. He's not my type of man. Andy tried to force himself on me, but I beat the hell out of him. Charlotte laughed again, though there was concern in her eyes. Well, I'm preparing dried fish and bread. Should I serve it to you? Charlotte offered. No, sister. I came to check on you, not for you to fatten me up. Victoria protested. Charlotte's laughter filled the room. When I come next time, I promise to eat, Victoria said, standing up. So, you're leaving already? Charlotte asked, disappointed. It's getting late, and Papa and Mama will be worried. Okay, dear. Until later, Charlotte said, embracing her friend once more. That evening, when Victoria arrived at their ranch house, she opened the door to find both her parents staring at her with knowing smiles. So, how is the young man? Margaret asked, her eyes twinkling mischievously. Thomas joined in the teasing. Yes, honey. How is this young man you went to see? Mama, Papa, please stop. I'm not courting anybody, and I'm not planning to be in a relationship, much less marriage. You both know I went to see Charlotte. Victoria protested. Oh, Charlotte. But I thought, Margaret began. You know what? Forget it, Victoria said in exasperation, heading toward her room. Why is she angry all of a sudden? Margaret wondered aloud. Maybe she's just tired, Thomas suggested. From upstairs, Margaret called out, Honey, you haven't eaten your supper before bed. I'm not hungry, Victoria called back. I think you should talk to her, Thomas suggested. That's a good idea, Margaret agreed. She took a plate with 5 warm biscuits and stew up to Victoria's room. Honey, please open the door, Margaret said gently. It's open, Mama. Margaret entered and set the plate on the bed beside her daughter. Honey, why are you upset? Victoria's voice was small. Well, Mama, I'm sorry for how I spoke to you and Papa downstairs. It's nothing, sweetheart. What's really troubling you? I'm scared of being in a relationship. But why, darling? Because all men just want to use a woman and then abandon her. Margaret laughed softly. Ha ha. Not all men, honey. That's why before you fall in love with someone, you need to understand what kind of person he truly is. Pray that he won't leave you. There are still good men out there. Okay, Mama. Thank you. Now, can you eat? Margaret asked, smiling. Victoria nodded, feeling better after their heart-to-heart. The next day, Victoria woke early and prepared breakfast, cleaning the entire house before her parents had even stirred. She was eating when Thomas and Margaret came downstairs. Honey, you're awake already? Thomas asked, impressed. Yes, Papa. Wow, the ranch is so neat today, Margaret observed. Did you clean everything by yourself? Yes, Mama. After finishing the last biscuit on the table, Victoria stood up. I'm going out. She took her coat and left for Charlotte's house, humming a tune as she walked through the crisp morning air. But when she arrived and knocked on the door, it wasn't Charlotte who answered. A man with disheveled hair and bloodshot eyes opened the door, reeking of whiskey. Good morning. Who are you looking for? He slurred. I'm looking for Charlotte. Oh, Charlotte, my daughter, he said, swaying slightly. Yes, sir, Victoria answered politely, though alarm bells were ringing in her mind. She went somewhere, but we'll be back soon. You can come in, he said against her better judgment. Victoria entered and sat down in the parlor. Here, have a drink. It's not alcoholic. Trust me, William said, offering her a glass of what appeared to be apple cider. Within 5 minutes of drinking it, Victoria felt the world spinning around her. Her vision blurred, and her limbs felt heavy as lead. Help, help, please don't do this. I beg you, I'm a virgin. She cried out weakly as William carried her to the bedroom, but her pleas fell on deaf ears as he took what was not his to take, leaving her innocence shattered on the bedroom floor. Then came a loud knock at the door. Papa, I'm home. Charlotte's voice rang out, William hastily dressed and went downstairs, leaving Victoria broken and bleeding. "Papa, what have you done? Look at the blood on her dress." Charlotte cried out in horror when she saw her best friend. No, you can trust me. It wasn't intentional. I was drunk," William stammered. But Victoria, though weak, found her voice. "All men are the same. I begged you. I pleaded with you. But you didn't listen until you broke my virginity. I will never forgive you for this. I hate you and I hate you dearly." She grabbed her torn clothes, went downstairs, and dressed with shaking hands. "Papa, how could you?" Charlotte wept. "You can trust me. I wasn't in my right frame of mind at that time. I was drunk. Only a man with principles will control himself and stop even when drunk," Charlotte said bitterly. "Did you just say principles? What about a woman with no principles who cheats even with or without them?" William shot back. "Papa, I don't understand," Charlotte said confused. William's voice turned cold and bitter. "Well, your mama actually never died. Instead, she died in my heart. She cheated on me with everyone, strangers, even her own uncle, until I had enough and sent her away. And she didn't even care about you," she said. "As long as you were happy." She was happy and that she would never come back. Charlotte began crying, overwhelmed by these revelations. "Honey, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And please beg your friend to forgive me. It was because of the alcohol," he pleaded. When Victoria arrived home, her parents were shocked by her appearance. "Who did this to you? Tell me who did it. I won't spare him," Thomas roared, his protective instincts fully aroused. "Well, I'm tired and weak," Victoria said quietly, heading to her room. "I'm confused," Margaret whispered to her husband. "Victoria has never been like this. She should be angry. She's never loved anyone. How did she give in just like that?" The next morning, the family sat at the dining table in heavy silence. Victoria dragged her chair out and sat down without her usual cheerful greeting. "Here," Margaret said, passing her a biscuit with peanut butter. "Thank you, Mama," Victoria said softly, taking it and eating mechanically. Thomas cleared his throat. "So, last night you came home weak, and there was blood on your dress. What really happened, dear?" "I don't want to talk about it, Papa," Victoria replied. "Okay, I won't force you, dear. Finish your meal." Then came a knock at the door. Thomas opened it to find William and Charlotte standing there, both looking ashamed. "What are you doing here? Get out," Victoria screamed, grabbing a kitchen knife. William stepped forward bravely. "I know I hurt you. Please forgive me. What happened last night was unforgivable. But please, I beg your forgiveness." "So, you know it's unforgivable, but you did it anyway." "When I was pleading, it fell on deaf ears," Victoria cried. "Please forgive him," Charlotte pleaded. "Will you shut your mouth? Birds of a feather. Just get out, son of a bitch," Thomas roared, grabbing William and beginning to pummel him with his fists. "How dare you? I will not spare you." He punched and punched until blood began to show on William's face. Charlotte pleaded, but it fell on deaf ears. "I will marry her," William suddenly shouted. Thomas held back his fists. "You didn't love me. Why would you want to marry me?" Victoria demanded. William, his face blooded, but his voice sincere, began to speak. "Because you love my daughter, and you make my daughter happy. I have been searching for a wife ever since. I know I messed up at our first meeting. Please, will you forgive me and marry me?" Margaret whispered something in her daughter's ear. "I think you should forgive him and marry him. I don't think he did what he did on purpose last night." Victoria looked at her mother, then at Charlotte's tear-stained face, then at William, who despite his flaws, seemed genuinely remorseful. "I will marry you," she said quietly. 2 weeks later, the small frontier church was decorated with wild flowers and filled with the warm light of afternoon sun streaming through the windows. The preacher, a kind man with silver hair, stood at the altar as Victoria, dressed in her mother's white wedding gown, walked down the aisle. William, cleaned up and sober, waited for her with Charlotte by his side as the witness. "Dearly beloved," the preacher began, "we are gathered here today in the sight of God, and these witnesses to join William James Harrison and Victoria Margaret Henderson in holy matrimony. Marriage is a sacred institution ordained by God, and not to be entered into lightly or unadvisedly. He looked at William. Do you, William, take Victoria to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? I do, William said firmly, his voice carrying the weight of his promises. And do you, Victoria, take William to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part? Victoria looked into William's eyes and saw not the drunken man who had hurt her, but someone who was genuinely trying to make amends. I do, she said, softly, by the power vested in me by God, and the territory, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. William's kiss was gentle this time, filled with respect rather than possession. Charlotte was overjoyed, finally having the mother figure she had always longed for. In the months that followed, something remarkable happened. What had begun as an arrangement born of necessity slowly blossomed into genuine affection. William proved to be a devoted husband, giving up drinking entirely and showing Victoria the respect and care she deserved. He worked tirelessly to provide for his new family and never raised his voice in anger. Victoria, initially cold and distant, began to see the man William truly was beneath his past mistakes. She watched him care for Charlotte with tender devotion and gradually opened her heart to the possibility of love. One evening, as they sat by the fireplace with Charlotte reading nearby, William took Victoria's hand. I know I can never undo what I did, he said quietly, but I want you to know that I love you truly now, not just because of obligation, but because of who you are. Victoria looked at him, seeing the sincerity in his eyes. William, I think I am beginning to love you, too. Their first real kiss was tender and full of promise. 9 months later, Victoria gave birth to beautiful twin daughters, whom they named Sarah and Clara. William wept with joy as he held his daughters, and Charlotte was thrilled to finally have the little sisters she'd always dreamed of. Thomas and Margaret, who had been skeptical at first, came to see that their daughter had indeed found happiness in this unexpected union. 5 years passed and the Harrison household was filled with laughter and love. Sarah and Clara, now toddling around the ranch, brought joy to everyone they met. Charlotte, now a young woman of 19, helped care for her half-sisters with the devotion of a loving older sister. Victoria and William's love had grown deeper with each passing season. They had learned to trust each other completely, and their marriage had become a true partnership. One evening, as they watched their daughters play in the yard, while Charlotte helped them catch fireflies, William turned to Victoria. Do you ever regret marrying me? He asked. Victoria smiled, her hand resting on his. Never. Sometimes the most broken beginnings lead to the most beautiful endings, the end. Thank you for watching and reading. Please subscribe for more stories. The story of Victoria, William, and Charlotte teaches us several important lessons. Victoria learned that forgiveness has the power to transform lives. By choosing to forgive William, despite his terrible mistake, she opened the door to unexpected love and happiness. Her courage to trust again after betrayal shows us that healing is possible. William discovered that redemption comes through consistent actions, not just words. His commitment to changing his ways, giving up alcohol, and treating Victoria with respect proved that people can truly change when they're motivated by love and remorse. Charlotte showed us that family bonds can transcend blood relations. Her joy in gaining Victoria as a stepmother demonstrates that love makes a family, not just genetics. Thomas and Margaret learned that sometimes parents must trust their children's choices, even when they don't understand them at first. Their eventual acceptance of William showed the importance of keeping an open mind. The overarching message that love can bloom even in the darkest circumstances but only when coupled with genuine repentance, forgiveness, and the commitment to be better people. True love isn't just about passion, it's about choosing each day to honor, respect, and care for one another.